What's up? Welcome in on this Tuesday, the last day of freaking March already. How did we get to April? Weren't we just in the college football playoff? What day is this? Is this another Buffalo Bills press gig? It's flying by. Flying, but we're already at the Final Four. We've gone through the first weekend of baseball that was, well, about as asininely scheduled as humanly possible. If I want to keep it nice, I guess, to start the show tonight. Trying to stay on the positive side of things. The dumbest damn start to a baseball season ever. We've got plenty of baseball tonight. We're going to talk about our best and worst of the opening weekends. Some of the things we liked, some of the things we didn't like. No, it's not all related to the schedule. Plenty of action going on tonight. Some guys off to great starts, some guys off to not so great starts. O'Neal Cruz still not off to a great start in center field if you're watching the Pirates and Reds game tonight. Why did they make him a center fielder again? Can anybody honestly answer that question? Because the experiment, not so good. Not so good. Just make him the damn DH and let Jake Mangum play center field, for Christ's sakes. It's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. But plenty of stuff to go through. Again, if you're watching along, feel free to comment along. Follow us on all of our social channels at Mike Arana Show, everywhere but Snapchat, because we're not 12, and Snapchat sucks. Sign up for our newsletter, MikeAranaShow.com/links. If you were on our X page today, we reposted today's newsletter talking about exactly how I started the show. What the hell happened? We're in April. Got another tremendously goofy coach's picture today, and one hell of a story that could only be done by a Browns coach when it comes to the coach's picture at the meetings that are taking place not too far from me here in Arizona. So, a couple of interesting things from there. Aaron Glenn with the quote of the day. He thinks Geno Smith is going to take the Jets to the promised land. That's a really weird way to refer to Arch Manning as the promised land, but hey, whatever works. Because Geno Smith will take you somewhere. Probably to the top of next year's draft. And you know, it sucks, to be perfectly blunt with you. It was nice to see Geno have some success after everything he'd been through. Was just abysmal last year in Las Vegas. Part of that, Geno. Part of that, the offensive line that was banged up all year. Part of that, not really having any good wide receivers. The only one they had, they traded away. It's not going to look any better in New York with the Jets. I can promise you that. Because as we know, the Jets could screw up a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I don't know why that reference came to my head. Found another cool way last night to injure myself, so added that to the list. I'll tell you that story here in a little bit. But there's a lot of stuff going on, man. Like, I was looking at the calendar, and just doing some forward thinking. And we are 17 days. Let's call it 16 and a half days away from the end of the NHL regular season. And there is a lot of stuff still up in the air. NBA action tonight. We're getting close to playoff time there. Of course, somebody had to vomit something on social media right before the show started that a lot of people around the league think that LeBron James could sign with the Los Angeles Clippers next year if Kawhi Leonard's contract is voided. Really? Can we wait till the offseason to talk about LeBron for 6 months straight? Big night in Los Angeles if you're a fan of Cleveland sports. The Cavaliers playing the Lakers, Guardians playing the Dodgers. I'm sure traffic will breeze right through Los Angeles tonight. Not many times you get to see two teams from the same city in the same city on the road. I know, because I've been trying to bag the Warriors and Sharks both playing in Madison Square Garden or as close to it as I can get on the same trip, and that's never happened when I've been able to do it. Maybe it'll happen at some point. We're down to Final Four this weekend. Incredible stuff. Mac will join me tonight here in just a little bit. We're going to get into what we saw in the Sweet 16, what we saw in the Elite Eight, some of our surprises, some of our disappointments. I'll start here. And if you caught our newsletter, again, you can sign up for our newsletter. It's free. We're not smart enough to spam you. It comes out once a week. Gives you all the insight of what's coming up on the show. Once we finish locking down our swag, you'll be the first to know. Very informative. Some good betting nuggets in there. Cool stories of the week. Favorite tweets. It's fun. Gives you something to read at work while you're pretending to work. We're here to help. But this notion that the national championship game is the second game on the docket this weekend, I'm really getting sick and tired of freaking hearing it already. I get it. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Arizona, Michigan isn't title game worthy. Because I'm not. It is. Clearly, those are the two best teams from start to finish this year. But for those people that are just kind of taking a dump on the first game, Illinois and UConn, that's going to be a hell of a game. And let's remember something here before we really get into the nuts and bolts of everything. Of the four teams remaining, UConn was the team going into the season that had the best title odds. And we talked a lot. Got a funny story to tell you about UConn advancing over Duke. But I have to wait for Mac because it is a very Vegas Mac story, and only Vegas Mac could have pulled this off. That's why we love him. But this UConn team has a championship pedigree, has championship DNA. Don't believe me? Just ask Duke. Any other team in that situation would have folded like a cheap suit. And Jared Smith, who I had on Friday's show, again, we thank him for that. It seems like every year he has to send this tweet out, and it's hilarious because people go, oh, this game is over. No game in March Madness is ever over. You should know that by now. Do we get some stinkers? Sure we do. But to ever just dismiss a game as being done and being over is foolish in March Madness. It's even more foolish when the coach on the other side is Dan Hurley. You can say what you want about the sequence of the last play. Obviously, that's what everybody wants to talk about. Braylon Mullins, the literal definition of Bill Raftery's coined phrase, all-timer. This phrase should be in the Hall of Fame, period. Onions from Braylon Mullins. And I'll give a shout out here to Alex Karabrand. Ryan Kalkbrenner, where the hell did that one come from? The dude was ice cold all game. Played miserable, hits the huge three late in the game, and could have very easily in that situation just chucked up a crappy shot. Decided to pass it back. Mullins was to his left. They call him the Rainmaker for a reason. But this UConn team is the team that has the most experience, the most championship DNA, lest we forget that these other three teams at the table here don't. That Illinois team, very damn good. Very, very big. Very, very young. One of two things going to happen. The lights are going to be way too damn bright for that team, or they're too young and too dumb to care. You know, T talks about it all the time. Mac talks about it a lot too. Muscle memory. Young teams, they don't really have it. It's on to the next play. It's on to the next play. A lot of European players on the Illinois team. I mean, let's call it what it is. Those are two great basketball games. And you could say Florida and Duke not being there doesn't give us the four best teams all you want. But again, the body of work over college basketball over the entire season, UConn was a top 5 team for a long time this year. They've been to this spot. They're not going to be fazed by this. And if you look at some of the numbers, and I'm no math whiz, T will tell you how many times I have to send him a text on the fly when we're doing something or even during the show. Hey, what the hell's the percentage on this? And he can spit it out like a damn computer. He's not just here for his good looks. But I'm no math whiz. But the last I looked, I haven't looked today. I looked a lot on Sunday night and into Monday. And one site even had UConn at 7-1, plus 700. Obviously, Arizona and Michigan basically split faves. Last I looked, it was plus 175 and plus 180. This particular site that I was looking at Sunday had Illinois at plus 450 and UConn at plus 550. This is why we tell you, don't just have one book. Do some surfing. I found UConn yesterday at 7-1 on a book. 7-1. Like I said, I'm not a math whiz, but I can guarantee, to take something from Charles Barkley, that either Illinois or UConn will be playing on Monday night for the national championship. I can also guarantee you that the money line odds on them to pull the upset, neither one of them are going to be at those numbers. Remember, UConn and Arizona already played this year. They played a fantastic game. I think any way we get to Monday night, we've got a great outcome. I think the tournament's been fantastic. We've talked about that a million times over. But the freaking stones on Braylon Mullins. I mean, if you were in my house, you would have thought I was a UConn fan. Was chilling on the futon, watching everything unfold, almost capsized the futon because I jumped up as if I was a diehard, lifelong UConn fan. We want best on best as sports fans, people. We always want best on best as sports fans. We're getting best on best. But to just shoo away the fact that Illinois and UConn are a non-factor in this is idiotic. Not saying that Arizona and Michigan aren't the two best teams. I'm not. Wouldn't say that. But again, to just blindly say, the national title game is the second national semifinal game, I think is a little ridiculous. Especially if UConn gets through. Illinois, again, we don't know. They're young and they're huge. And they have a lot of European players. They're not going to be fazed by the big moment, I don't personally think. They could be. They could piss down their legs, for all we know. We'll have plenty of that as we get through. Again, we'll go into some of our thoughts on the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. Just a fantastic weekend of basketball. Like I said, plenty of stuff going on tonight in Major League Baseball. The O'Neill Cruz experiment keeps going on. The Pirates are beating the Reds 6-1 right now. How about the Toronto Blue Jays? Thankfully, they're up 2-0 right now. That might have some rooting interest for me on a personal level. They got freaking blasted last night by the Rockies. The Rockies in their first win of the season. 14-5 in Toronto. They beat the poutine out of them last night in Toronto. I know that makes TJ very happy. Our guy, Pete Alonso, the polar bear, finally broke the seal with the Orioles, got his first home run. Thankfully, that game went over. Thank you very much, Texas and Baltimore. Texas is winning that game 7-3. Washington and Philly 3-2 in the eighth. A's are up on the Braves 5-2. No score in the Angels-Cubs game. That was a bet under. And somehow the Mets are losing to the Cardinals right now and Andre Palante, who they, as a team, hit almost 400 against. So we'll see how that goes. Houston and Boston in action. Then we've got Detroit and Arizona, New York and Seattle, San Francisco and San Diego, Cleveland and the Dodgers tonight. So plenty of stuff going on there. The NHL, again, I mean, April 16th, the final day of the regular season. That seemed like it got here very, very quickly. Feel like we were just at the gold medal game in the Olympics, and we literally kind of were. But, like, the fact that we're like, boom, 16 and a half days, if you count what's going on tonight. Stars and Bruins tied at the end of 2. Islanders and Sabres tied. Canadians, Mac's favorite team, the Montreal Canadiens. They're up 2-1 on the Lightning right now. Panthers putting one on the Senators 6-2. Rangers actually winning another home game. Who knew? 3-2 right now. JT Miller has a goal for the Blue Shirts. Penguins up 4-1 on the Red Wings. That ship is quickly burning to the ground. in Detroit. Hurricanes up 2-0 on the Jackets as well. So plenty of stuff going on. As I said, the owners' meetings, head coaches all together in Phoenix today. I tried to get the picture for you because the picture is always hilarious of all the head coaches. Apparently I didn't download it into the right form. Whatever. I'll put it up tomorrow because me and the guys will have a good laugh about that. Again, Vegas Mac will be joining me here in just a second. But I found this very interesting today and very Cleveland Browns today. New Browns head coach Todd Monken was not in the photo with all the coaches. You know why? On Monday? Because he was getting a haircut and he thought he timed it perfectly and ended up missing the coach's photo. So Todd Monken is not shown in this ridiculously goofy photo of all these coaches going, can we just get to the social hour? If you follow Jay Glazer on X, he had a great little walk around the coaches' day drinking day today of all the coaches there. But Todd Monken missed the coach's photo getting a haircut. I mean, unfreaking believable that believable, also unbelievable. I just realized I never even sent Mac the link to get into the show. So that's part of why he's not here, because I'm a dumbass. Sorry, Mac. It's on its way. Man, I just pulled my own Todd Monken there. How Cleveland Browns of that is that? What a dumbass. How do I not send him the link to get on the show that he's on? Kyle Shanahan had some interesting comments today, and I learned something new today. Apparently, when you're playing an international game, which half the damn league is now, you have the ability to mark two opponents that you don't want to play in an international game. As we know, the 49ers playing the second game of the season against the Rams in Australia, 10:35 on a Friday morning in Australia, 5:30 back here in the States. And the Niners also play a game in Mexico City. One of the teams that the Niners did not designate to play them in Mexico City is the Denver Broncos. Obviously, the altitude would be an advantage for the Broncos. But Kyle Shanahan said, snarky, he's got a great relationship with Sean McVay. He said today that he thinks that the Rams pushed for the game so they didn't lose their home stadium that gets taken over by Niners fans every time. And he thinks it's only fair that the Rams should have to play the Niners in Mexico City. So always interesting to hear some of these comments from the coaches at when they all get together. And it's more times than not, it ends up being here in Phoenix. Vegas Mac, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm still laughing at Todd Monken for missing the coach's photo because he was getting a haircut, which is the most Cleveland Browns thing ever. Do we want to talk about what happened after Braylon Mullins hit the Rainmaker, or do we want to save that for a little bit? How are you feeling, I guess, is the first thing I want to ask you.
Mentally, I'm great. Physically, I'm better. Yeah, let's talk about it. Why not? Let's do it. Let's. That's such a great moment. It's a moment I won't forget.
Literally. So Vegas Mac texts in our group text after the game, I think I just tore my Achilles celebrating. Now Mac likes to lead TJ and I on a lot, and he can lead us down some really good rabbit holes. He actually called me a couple minutes later in the celebration, thinks he might have actually injured himself. How is your calf and Achilles here? Do we have Tyrese Halliburton concerns about you? I see you made it. Were you at the doctor? Was that why we were running behind a little bit?
No. So here's the deal. I missed the beginning of the game. We had some stuff that we were doing. Actually, that's a lie. I was watching the Red Sox. I mean, one thing at a time. And fair. Yeah. And so when I put the game on, they're down by 15 already. And I'm I'm Red Sox frustrated, and I'm like the girls already won, so we've got that in the bag. I'm not gonna deal with this. I can't, you know how we all feel about one. We don't like our teams to lose, but it's Duke. We don't want to lose to Duke, and so I just periodically kind of just I like checked in. It was close to halftime. I'm like, I'll pick it up in the second half. So I didn't really want to watch the game, but I had a lot to do. So I went into the garage and I was cleaning the garage. We just moved. So, the garage is a mess. And I'm just like listening to things and, it's 16, it's 14, it's 10, it's 8, and I'm like, all right. So then I was just listening to it. I didn't even like have it. And so like finally, so now I'm like, all right, there's a couple minutes left. I got to start watching this thing, right? So I got my phone and I'm watching the phone and I'm carrying, I'm moving stuff. You're moving stuff in the garage. I've got big boxes that I'm moving. And we get down to the end and all of a sudden now we're shooting free throws and we're within a couple and we miss and I'm like, oh geez, here we go. He's got to make the next one and makes the next one. So I pick up a box. It's a crate. I pick up a crate and I've got it and I'm just watching this and I'm like all of a sudden ball gets inbounded and I'm moving the crate and ball gets tipped and I'm lifting the crate and pass is made and I'm lifting the crate and all of a sudden the shot goes in and I it's instinct. I jumped with the crate in my hand and I start screaming from the garage I'm screaming and my wife's in a panic because she just thinks that everything is falling on top of me and I come running out of the garage jumping up and down on one leg. I'm like, I can't believe they scored. I can't believe they scored. And so let's just say Monday everybody asked me, are you okay? Why are you limping? And I had to, tell the story. I was like, well, it was celebratory. Yeah.
Vegas.
It
Mac
sucks.
Radica.
It sucks getting old, Mike. It just, oh my God. So
I took a tumble last night, dude. I think I bruised like every rib in my body last night.
Oh, so, walking flat surface, it's okay. Up and down stairs and like on an incline, not so good right now, but I'm here. Man, that was so exciting. I've probably watched it a million times. I really have from every angle. That was I know not everybody remember, but I remember the Tate George shot against Clemson. That was the first big UConn basketball, play that moved them on. And of course the next day Christian Leitner, which 36 years later we get redemption. So yeah, it was quite interesting. So man,
I had the same thought too. Like when Duke was inbounding the ball and we knew they were going to try and chuck it down the court, they obviously weren't able to, but I'm in my head, I'm going, this is just like Christian Leitner. They just don't need the basket now. And obviously chaos ensued and nicknamed appropriately the Rainmaker made it freaking happen for him. So Mac's status for the national semifinal game on Saturday is a game time decision. We will make sure that he has no crates around him. The funny thing is I started thumbing out a text to your wife when they cut it to like inside single digits. And I was like, I literally wrote out, I'm like, hey, I don't know if you're around, Mac. Can you get me a camera somewhere close just in case UConn pulls this off? And I deleted it because I was like, I obviously had a little bit of coin on the Huskies in that game. Maybe it was anti-Duke, but I do believe in this UConn team. And I was like, you know what? If I send this and then they get the lead, they're going to lose it. And then I'm going to feel like I jinxed it because I'm superstitious like that. So I ended up deleting the damn thing. We do have video of it. I'm trying to clean it up a little bit because obviously in Mac's... Yeah, she sent me the video. Of course she did. In Mac's frenzy, the dogs are going crazy, so I have to clean up a little bit of the audio, or try to, because the dogs were going nuts. They were going UConn nuts.
Oh,
Yeah, of course I got the video, man.
it's pretty good, isn't it?
It is really good. Because I've had those reactions before. And I was telling the story before you jumped in, before I remembered I never sent you the damn link because I'm a dumbass. Like, and I told you this when you called me unsure of your playing status for the rest of the week. Like, I said, if you were in my house, you would have thought I was a diehard UConn fan because I jumped up and I was like, oh my God, and almost capsized myself on the futon in the studio here. And speaking of Mama Mac, there she is.
I will tell you, you want to know the last time I had that kind of a reaction?
It's got to be Red Sox related.
It is. Dave Henderson. Dave Henderson in the home run against Donnie Moore. I remember I was eating spaghetti, and the spaghetti went everywhere. Like
Yep.
that was the last time but that was just crazy. That was so much fun. Oh my gosh, that was just something.
Yeah,
else.
it got me thinking. I'm like, when was the last time I had a reaction like that? Because, like Florida winning the national championship last year, it wasn't like down to the last second. It was you started this. Travis Ishikawa's homer. I remember watching that against the Cards in the NLCS and Joe Buck's call, and it barely hit the top of Levi's landing. And I remember running around my house like an a-hole, just screaming and yelling like a little child.
And it's funny because, a lot of people would think that it was when the Red Sox won the World Series again. That was a different emotion. That was a crying, just, a lifelong, and everybody said, my grandfather, that wasn't like a celebration. That was just an accumulation of emotion. Like that was something, that was a different thing.
It also makes me think on the flip side though, because we see these videos now and the first time we saw them, it was like, okay, you could tell they were real. Now it's just some dumbass that already has a replacement TV and they were getting rid of their TV so their team loses and they go blow up their TV with a baseball bat and all that stuff. What's the maddest you've ever been in being on the other end of that? Because I remember when the Richard Sherman "don't come at me with a sorry ass receiver like Crabtree." We had a big old party. I had no Starbucks, no fish, no nothing signs on the door, and I remember like going out the front door of the house, slamming the door, going across the street, and just sitting on the curb like, why the hell did we throw the ball to Crabtree? And my oldest daughter comes out at the time. She goes, "Dad, you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I ended up passing out on the floor in the bathroom later. But that's a different story for a different day. My favorite story of this, though, and this is what made me think of it. One Yankees fan that I know, very, very big supporter of the show. If he's watching, he's going to probably try and comment, "Don't tell this story." But Game 7 of the Diamondbacks-Yankees World Series. And we know how that whole thing went down, and we were living together at the time. And we're just sitting in the living room, and obviously at that point, the Giants hadn't won shit in my lifetime. So, like, I didn't know what that felt like from a baseball standpoint. We're just sitting in the living room. It's really quiet. I'm like, I got to say something to break the ice. You know me, I'm not going to not talk. And I'm like, "You good?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm good." And it was hella casual. And then he picks up his coffee table and power bombs it on the floor, and there's just wood all over the place. And he goes, "Now I'm good." Like, what's the maddest you ever remember yourself being on the other side of that?
1986.
Oh God, you cited the year. I know where you're going.
But listen, so here's the full. So obviously, we're outs away from ending the whole thing. Who steps up for the New York Mets? Gary Carter.
Your boy.
My favorite player. Like, there's Fred Lynn. Fred Lynn is here. There's Jason Varitek. And then, but at the time, stop. But at the time, Jason Varitek, there was no Jason Varitek. It was Fred Lynn and it was Gary Carter. And even Gary Carter a little bit more. And I'm like, please, 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 please don't make the last out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't have my favorite player make the last out, even though my team was going to win. I'm like, I felt good about it, you know? Of course, he singles. We know what happens. I threw it. I don't think my bedroom is still ever put together. I tore it apart. Thought I caused the whole thing. I did. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was me. That was like on me. Like I did that. Like I was so mad. Like my parents came in and I could hear my mom say something, and my dad's like, "Just let him be. Just let him be." Like just.
That's freaking incredible. And if you've got a story from being on the good end of a Braylon Mullins 3 or being on the Duke side of a Braylon Mullins 3, let us know. I want to hear some of those because there's always some good ones there. Let's get into some baseball. We're going to debut a new segment tonight, the rotation. And Mac will drop that here in just a second. But we had an opening weekend, and Mac, I kind of talked about this right before you joined me here. And opening weekend was aggravating. It was frustrating. It was the dumbest damn schedule in the history of schedules, and nobody says we're back like Major League Baseball just to go, pause, we're back, pause, and now we're actually into normal baseball home openers. I watched the Royals yesterday. We got other teams like the Diamondbacks last night had their home opener. One of our behind-the-scenes guys tried the 128-ounce nacho bucket at the Diamondback game last night. I wanted to ask if he's got nachos for the whole week, but opening week is done. Opening weekend is done finally, and we're into real baseball. What are your takeaways from opening weekend?
I want to say that I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I obviously, you know how much I love baseball. Saturday morning, you know, for us out here, like 10 o'clock, like I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's watch some baseball. There was nothing on. There was no game. I'm like, where are the games? Where are the baseball games? I was really, really irritated at that. Like, I get it. You want to give the teams a day off. But here's the thing. You don't in spring training. Like in spring training, they have like, I think 1, maybe 2 days off in the whole month, you know, and they just go. And then all of a sudden now you play a game and they have to have a day off. Like, and then not to have anything on Saturday. Like, and again, Saturday morning, our time, early afternoon. They didn't have anything until late afternoon and late into the evening. And I'm like, well, that was just silly. Like, you had all the basketball games going on later in the day. Like, again, I'm glad to have baseball back, but that was just stupid.
Yeah, and you know, it like even Sunday to extend it into Sunday, like there was no afternoon games for the people on the West Coast. It was like I think noon was the latest start we got, and then you're just sitting there for like an hour and a half. And obviously the UConn Duke game filled most of the sports fans' time in that, like sports junkie kind of people. But like you had like an hour and a half where there wasn't a damn game going on before Sunday Night Baseball.
I don't get it. Like, again, something needs to be done, like with the schedule. I mean, I love, let's give some credit. I love the standalone opening night game. I think that was cool. I have no problem with that. But other than that, it's just a mess. Just play the games like you normally would. I don't get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, one of the first things, and we're going to talk about our best and worst from the weekend that doesn't have to do with the schedule here in just a second. One of the first segments we created on the show was actually MLB Monday, and it was Mac just doing it. And I said, let's keep doing that. And we've obviously evolved, those of you that have been day oneers with us, and we appreciate all of you guys. I can't tell you how much we appreciate you guys. Again, sign up for the newsletter. It was made for people like you, the day oneers. It was made for the people that are going, who in the hell are these guys? MikeAranaShow.com/links. We've kind of evolved some of our stuff over time and perfected it and tried to make it better for those that are actually spending some of their nights and days with us here. And this year, when it comes to rankings, because Mac is a rankings guy, if you haven't noticed that, we're going to give him a little different twist. We're going to give him some options. He's got a lefty out of the bullpen. He's got a righty out of the bullpen. He can go to the high leverage reliever. Vegas Mac, why don't you bring us the first edition of the 2026 rotation in Major League Baseball?
Absolutely. Let's start with our week one surprises. Who kind of turned my head in week one? We're going to start with the Milwaukee Brewers. And yeah, listen, I know they played the Chicago White Sox, but they still went 3-0. Bryce Terang. And I love the fact that Christian Yelich off to really good starts. And the Miz with 11 strikeouts. That would be our number 5 team. At number 4, I went with St. Louis. Again, a nice weekend. 2-1 against Tampa Bay. JJ Weatherholt is the one who kind of really had a really good weekend. And I have a question for us. How about Jordan Walker? Is he going to finally find the breakout season? At number 3, it's Miami, one of the teams that I kind of have my eye on. I know it was 3-0 against Colorado, but listen, Alcantara, Perez, and Myers, that's as good a young staff as you're going to see. At number 2, I went with TJ's team, the Angels. And again, my question is Mike Trout finally going to have a Mike Trout kind of season? If you're a baseball fan, you got to hope the answer is yes. And the team that turned my head the most this week was the Cincinnati Reds, 2-1 against the Red Sox. Abbott, Singer, Louder, Lodolo, and Green still to come. This team is going to be a lot of fun. I think they could be a surprise in the Central.
Absolutely. Tonight down 6-3 currently, but yeah, a great start for them. And the Cardinals, I mentioned this, and it's still going this way, 2-0. Andre Palante shutting out the Mets, which is interesting because the Mets have like a career team batting average against Palante of almost 400. They're getting shut out in the Lou right now. So it's been a fun start to the season. Let's talk about some of our best and worst. And I'll get us started with one of the worst that doesn't have to do with the schedule. And it was the start to the year for Cal Raleigh. And T talked about Cal Raleigh and put him on one of the guys on his hit list of who he's watching specifically this year. And he made the point, like, I hope he doesn't feel like he has to duplicate what he did last year. I know we've talked about this. You were a catcher at the highest level out of any of us here on this program. He is a tremendous catcher on top of being a great hitter. And you could see in that opening series against the Guards, until he got that first hit finally, like, he was really, really pressing. So the start for Cal Raleigh, not great. Only thing worse than the start for Cal Raleigh was the Giants' offense through 3 games spread out over 18 days against the Yankees to start the season. They get their first win for Tony Vitello last night. Give me your worst from the weekend.
Well, my worst from the weekend was Paul Skeens. And listen, I know he had a couple of plays in the outfield that didn't go his way. But listen, if you're going to be the face of baseball, and let's be honest with everybody, like, he is in the running for the face of baseball, you've got to be better. And I mean, you've got to overcome that. And to get to 1 inning on opening day and those runs, like, it doesn't cut it. It wasn't, I mean, those plays didn't help, but you've got to find a way to get out of that first inning and give your team more than just 1 inning of baseball.
Yeah, hooked after 37 pitches, and obviously, as you mentioned, and I mentioned this before you jumped in tonight, Mac, O'Neill Cruz's circus experiment in center field continued in Cincinnati tonight. It's only, I think, a matter of time before Jake Mangum takes that job from him as far as being the starting center fielder goes. But, you know, we both kind of, T and myself, looked at you like you had 17 heads when you said your bold prediction this year was that Paul Skeens would not be the best pitcher on the Pirates. I'm going to ask you this weekly on Tuesdays until I get the answer from you. Are you ready to tell us who you think the best pitcher on the Pirates will be? Because right now, after one start, and I know it's only one start, but Paul Skeens definitely does not look like he will be the best pitcher on the Pirates. Again, not overreacting to it, tongue-in-cheek. Calm down out there, people.
No, I'm not ready yet. I'm going to let you go one more week. I want to see one more time around the rotation just to make sure.
I would say the suspense is killing me, but if you make me go longer than one more week, I might kill you. Paul Skeens in action tomorrow night. Tomorrow. It's a day game tomorrow. It's a morning game for us West Coasters here against Andrew Abbott in the closer of that series in Cincinnati at the Great American Bandbox out there. Let's get to some of our best from the weekend. And, you know, Mac, it's... And I think we're kind of both on the same page here. I know you have some additional stuff, but for me, it was the start from a couple of rookies, and it's really just the rookies in general coming out of the gates. And I know there's not a whole lot of film on these guys other than AAA, but what can you take from that when you're comparing it to Major League pitching and stuff like that? But, you know, I'm not going to step on your toes here, but I'm going to look at 2 guys specifically, and one of them's not a rookie, but Chase DeLauder of the Guardians, an absolutely fantastic start to the year. And again, we saw this from a lot of rookies. The other one, our guy, and he did it again tonight, Coffee, Beer, and Bangaliers. Shea Langoliers is off to a hell of a start to the season, and he's bringing the boomstick out, and they haven't even gotten to Coors Field of California yet.
Absolutely. I mean, here's my only problem is, and it's one of the things we're talking about, it's like they haven't won any games. But this offense could be crazy. I'm not as feeling as good about them in the first couple of days as I wanted to, but but listen, I still think, like you said, once they get to Coors Sacramento or whatever, we got to come up with a name for that place.
Coors Field of California. Easy.
But yeah, I mean, I still think their offense is going to be really, really good. They may not need the pitching; they're just going to kind of just outscore everybody.
Yeah, that home run tonight. Sorry, not to cut you off. That home run tonight from Langoliers in the fifth actually extended the A's lead to 5-1. They're still up 5-2 in Atlanta right now in the bottom of the seventh.
This guy that I have for my best of opening week is continued over the first couple of days of this week, and that's Cincinnati Reds Sal Stewart. Mm-hmm. Let me give you his up-to-date stats. 8 for 12. That's a 667 batting average, 14 total bases. Now, not a lot of RBIs, but he's got a lot of walks. His on-base percentage is 1,900. His slugging percentage is almost 1,200. He actually crushed the ball every time he batted up against the Red Sox. He has a home run again tonight, even. Uh-huh. And so, again, just an impressive start for Sal Stewart. I was really impressed with this Reds team this weekend.
Griff Conine just went yard for the Marlins. Sal Stewart was the last home run of the night before Griff Conine. But yeah, I mean, it's been, and you know, even to extend it out a little bit farther, Mac, on the rookies, you mentioned J.J. Weatherholt. You just mentioned Sal Stewart. Kevin McGonigal, the 21st player since 1900 with 4 hits in his major league debut. Munetaka Murakami of the White Sox, 3 homers in 3 games to start the season. And I kind of mentioned him in the newsletter this morning, like, you know, and we use the term on the show a lot because I think it is telling. And we see it all the time with the players that come over from Japan and China and everything else. Like, sometimes pitchers struggle, sometimes the hitters really struggle. This dude is a professional friggin' hitter. And, like, even when he's not hitting the home runs, I mean, when that bat hits that ball, and we joked about it, and I think I still have it somewhere here in the file, but we joked about it with him, and he came out and, you know, he was doing an interview, had his translator by side, and you know, he gave us this gem in spring training. If it plays. Of course it's not going to play because let's try this one. Nope, still not playing. When he came out and he's like, I have power, and that's all he said, and we turned it into a soundbite because it was great. And he's lived up to every bit of the hype. Again, and we talked about this last week, and you know this better than anybody, Mac. Like, we get to the beginning of a baseball season, and it's easy to overreact, and people forget. You know, you wait so long for the season to start, and then your team starts 0-3, and you know, like, what's cracking me up is the overreactions from a personal standpoint to Tony Vitello and some of the things he's saying before and after games. Like, yesterday he ended up quoting Kanye, and like, you know, everybody's like, oh, he seems way in over his head here. That's something you say to a college. It's been 3 games and everybody was already going, oh, this thing he's way over it. Like, calm down, dude. Like, why do we do this every year? I get it as sports fans. Like, we overreact to stuff. It's natural. It's part of being a sports fan. But like, we're only in like game 5 of 162. There's a long freaking way to go, people. Calm down.
And remember, he's doing something that nobody's ever done before. Well, not that I can remember. Anyway, I think we looked it up. I don't think there's ever been a college baseball head coach jump right into the major leagues. There have been other college coaches that have eventually got there, but not just made that jump. And it is a big jump. And you know, listen, baseball is baseball, but still, there's going to be a transition there. You know, for the Giants. I mean. Again, it's early in the season. The one thing that I did as I was going through yesterday's games is you can really see how the pitching is ahead of the hitters. And we say it's like
Mhm.
that. That's one of those old time slogans. Pitching is always ahead of the hitters, and you can see it. A lot of the pitchers dominating so far early in the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's you guys always ask me, like, one of our favorite things to do on the show, especially during the summer, is dollar dingers. And you guys are always like, at the beginning of the year, when are we bringing back dollar dingers? When are we bringing? I'm like, we've always started the year kind of slow, and it's because the pitchers are ahead of the hitters. I put together one hell of a dollar dinger, like, risk-free kind of play tonight. Pays $43,000. I haven't checked anything on it, but I do have one of the 5 guys on it. But we're actually going to bring it back on Friday. Friday will be our debut of Dollar Dingers. TJ and I will give that to you at the end of Thursday's show. Again, we're projecting a little ahead. We're doing it without a weather report for the most part, so we're taking a stab at it, but we're going to bring Dollar Dingers back on Friday's show. Let's look at what's going on for the rest of the week here before we switch over to college hoops, Mac. Favorite matchups that you're really looking forward to early in the season. We'll go alternating possessions here, if you will, to use a basketball term. One that I'm really looking forward to, and I love that it's a day game tomorrow because I get the chance to watch this thing start to finish. The Yanks are up in Seattle taking on the Mariners right now. We've got a good pitching matchup tomorrow. Cam Schlittler and George Kirby. I can't wait to see that one. 110 for us here on the West Coast tomorrow. That's one I'm really, really looking forward to. Give me one of your matchups that you're looking forward to, whether it's an individual pitching matchup or a just general series through the weekend.
I think this is, a big one early in the season. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. We got Skeens against Abbott. Two really good young pitchers. Abbott pitched really good in his first start. We already talked about Skeens in his first start. So I love this one. Again, we have 2 teams that are trying to establish themselves in the Central Division. 2 good young pitching staffs. This is a good early season matchup to see which one of these teams can kind of jump ahead a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I went series on my next one, and I'm just excited to see this because we've talked about this team in nauseum, I guess, a little bit more than anybody else is probably talking about this team, who is attempting to get their first win tonight. And that's the Sacramento Nomads. They open their home schedule at Coors Field of California against the Houston Astros this weekend. So I'm gonna probably tap that one on here a couple of times. I have my fantasy baseball draft this week, and we're going to talk about that a little bit on tomorrow's program. But I will definitely have that on. I am trying to angle my way to getting to an A's game there before they maybe move to Vegas, just because the novelty of it. I didn't get to see the Coyotes play at Mullet Arena when they were in that tiny venue, so I want to find the right series in Sacramento, preferably not in summertime in Sacramento, which is just as miserable as it is in Arizona. But Houston at Sacramento, AL West kind of matchup. Well, AL West matchup there, not kind of matchup. But again, back to that bandbox and seeing the runs with this lineup that we expect a lot of runs from in their home games. So what's your other one that you're looking forward to?
I went with another pitching matchup. Tampa Bay at Milwaukee. I went with Drew Rasmussen against the Miz. Two really, really good pitchers. Rasmussen, who is coming off of some injuries from last year. I like that one. I had one other one that I want to talk about that is a Friday one. This is my big one on Friday. I've got Miami and the Yankees. Got Yuri Perez against Will Warren.
Ooh.
124 to get in that game too, by the way. That's a big one.
Is that game in New York?
In New York, 124 to get in. Actually, now I see tickets as low as 127, so it's actually gone up a little bit. But that's a really good pitching matchup. Again, I'm looking for these good pitching matchup with these good young pitchers. That's a fun one at Yankee Stadium.
Makes a lot of sense. What day is that game again?
That's a Friday for us morning. Ooh, 10:30.
Yeah, because I believe that's the Yankees home opener. So that makes sense.
It probably will be. Yep.
Yeah, son of a bitch, Gary Sanchez. I may or may not have some money on the Rays money line tonight. They're in Milwaukee. And Gary Sanchez just gave Milwaukee a 4-2 lead over Tampa late in that one. So plenty of other stuff. Anything that goes down tonight that we feel is of note, we will pass that along. But there was no way in hell that I was getting out of us talking about baseball without CB Buckner's Hall of Fame performance that he put on this weekend. And I know you were watching this because they were playing the Red Sox. what an ass he looked like in that game. It it's like it was comical, and then it kept going and kept going and kept going. 6 pitches overturned via ABS. Not a good day for CB Buckner.
I don't even know where to begin in that game.
It was
That
wild,
whole
man.
that ad was absolutely epic. Um, I can't remember the Red Sox pitcher. He's a new guy. He's making his major league debut. He comes in,
The Ryan Watson.
yeah, yeah, Watson, thanks. Yeah, just bases juiced, and he strikes him out, and then it's like, no, didn't strike him out. It's ball. Strikes him out, no ball. Like, I mean, and it was a disgrace. And here's the thing, Mike. I don't know if you saw it. Like the last call of the game, it wasn't a ball and a strike. It was a check swing by Trevor Story, and it wasn't a check swing, but oh my gosh, he's terrible. Like, but here's the thing, we talked about this. I think this is an excellent opportunity for Major League Baseball to clean up, to get
Mm-hmm.
rid of these guys, to say, listen, look, I mean, if you're bad at your job, you get fired. Let's be honest. He's bad at his job. He really is. And this isn't new. This is not a news flash. This is not
No.
like breaking news. Like we've known this for years. Like there's a reason why we know. I always say this. Normally, if you watch a game, and it doesn't matter the game, basketball, football, hockey, baseball, whatever, most of the time you don't really know, unless you're a nerd, you don't really know the umpires or the referees. There's a reason why you
Nope.
know certain referees or umpires. One, they're either really, really good, or they're CB Buckner. They're really, really bad. And it's mostly the latter.
Really
You
good or CB Buckner.
but you know the bad umpires. And I mean, listen, people get evaluated in their jobs and their pay. You get evaluated in your pay on how you do. I think it should be the same with the umpires now. Like, if you're going to keep them, keep them. But listen, dock his pay.
Mhm.
Something has to be done. He's not a good umpire, and again, it's not breaking news.
No, I mean, I think the biggest crime that we're all getting out of this whole situation is that we didn't get to see Angel Hernandez with ABS. That would have been great. I mean, not that Angel Hernandez saw anything. Alex Cora after the game, who was actually ejected in the 8th inning, he has one job to do. It's to call balls and strikes. It wasn't his best day. That's what the system does. It's out there. Everybody sees it, and he'll be the first one to accept it. I saw him putting his head down after one of the challenges, and we're all human. It's not easy what we do and what he does. And I whether or not Alex Cora ends up getting fined for that, I don't know. He shouldn't because he didn't say anything wrong there. We saw the first it was termed rage bait manager ejection from Derek Shelton of the Twins against the Orioles. And it wasn't necessarily like, and I can't remember who was on the call. I think it was probably Kevin Brown of the Orioles on the call for it, but he was like, "You don't argue with robots. You can't argue with the robot." And it was more the timing of when the challenge was called for. We talked about this off the air this weekend. You know, Corbin Carroll, like he ran a play to first base and he thought he was safe and he went like this to his head. Like the guys are loving it because it equates and it levels out the playing field. And I agree with you 100%. Like, you only knew Joe West's name because of what Joe West did. You only knew who Angel Hernandez was because of what Angel Hernandez didn't do. We only know of Scott Foster and guys like that. There are exceptions to the rule. Like, we know Billy Kennedy because Billy Kennedy's a good dude and nobody explains a challenge call explanation better than Billy Kennedy. But we're not supposed to know who those guys are. That's the point. I've loved what we've seen so far, every bit of it.
To be honest with you, I geeked out the other day. There was a report that came out about from the first weekend, and it broke down all the challenges. It broke down what pitches were thrown, what the count was, what inning it was. Like, there's now a new job in baseball. You know that teams are going to hire people to figure out because teams have screwed this up. The Red Sox, the reason they were in that situation is because they screwed it up early. They challenged early because you're thinking, okay, it's CB, he's everyone is wrong, right? And they screwed it up. They actually got a call right. They lost the challenge and they couldn't challenge the rest of the game. And so there is a huge learning curve going on in Major League Baseball. It's actually a lot of fun to watch. This is, I'll tell you, as much as we've kind of, pissed on baseball for some of their bad decisions, Ghost Runner is one of them. This is actually a really good one, and I think is going to change baseball for the better.
I don't have the bandwidth tonight for you to go down the Ghost Runner route again. Plenty of stuff going on. We'll keep you up to date. Anything that does happen that's pertinent, like O'Neal Cruz, who should just be the damn DH for the Pirates because he just hit a 2-run home run in that game against the Reds. I believe that extends the lead. Yep, 8-3 now for Pittsburgh in the top of the ninth there. Brewers, unfortunately for me, have extended their lead to 5-2. Angels finally cracked the scoreboard at Wrigley Field, 2-0. Cubs not off to a great start so far to start the season. Plenty of other stuff to talk about. Let's get into college basketball. As we know, we're down to 4 teams. Mac, I kind of talked about this a little bit. We're actually going to have you make your championship game prediction tonight, just because we're not going to talk about college basketball tomorrow. We're going to take a breather. We're going to hit pause on college hoops tomorrow. But there's a lot of people already talking, and I started the show with this, and I said I don't disagree with the premise that Michigan and Arizona is title game worthy. But the people that are just essentially shitting on the UConn-Illinois game and forgetting the fact that one of those teams is going to have an opportunity to win a national championship on Monday night, no matter what happens, one of them is going to advance. What are your thoughts on that narrative that Arizona-Michigan is the actual title game? Because I don't necessarily totally agree with that.
Obviously I don't either, but I understand it. I really do. There have been really 3 teams all year that have kind of rotated for the most part in that number 1 ranking. Arizona, it was Duke and Michigan. And, I think if you go around and most polls and most pools, I should say, that people have. And I'll use like our family one as an example. Everybody in our pool is from Arizona. So there's a majority of the people who picked Arizona. There's only one person in our whole pool that picked Michigan.
Hold on. You've got the dumbest damn name for your bracket. I've got people texting me all the time. Like, who is this bracket person? And like somebody actually found like Mackenzie on there. And I'm like, well, then I would venture to guess. I don't know if we got the whole Mackenzie house involved this year, but I would venture to guess that that's Max, and he hasn't said anything about it. The secret unnamed bracket, and dude, you're like 53,000th in the country with how good your bracket's been. Yeah.
Shit. How about that? Oh, well, hey, a blind squirrel.
Jesus.
Hey, just listen. Why should I be surprised? Look at Mac versus Mike. I'm kicking.
Oh, now it's Mac versus Mike. We're just changing the name. You son of a bitch. Anyways, back to the whole Arizona Michigan being the national title game. Not to take you off the path there.
That's again, national narrative. That's what it's going to be. No, that one side of the bracket with Illinois and UConn. Nobody expected that. It was going to be Duke and somebody else. In that side, it was supposed to be Duke against the winner of one of these 2 teams. So I'm not surprised. But Dan Hurley did say something, and I talked to you about this the other day. Mm-hmm. And the more he said it, it's kind of really resonated with me quite a bit. He's like, why should people be surprised that UConn is here? They've been ranked in the top 5 almost the entire year. This is not a surprise team. And again, a lot of people's narrative, like, this isn't the best UConn team that he's had. And I wouldn't disagree with that. But, the bottom line is when you have what he's built over the last couple of years, and listen, and Charles Barkley said he kind of went. He's like, well, it's only Caravan that's on that championship team. But listen, we all know it's what he does. I mean, everybody has seen videos of what how his practices are. It's to borrow a fact, it's what Gino does. Gino practices them at such a high level. I'm not saying other people don't, but everybody knows his intensity. And so to dismiss either one of those teams, I mean, you have an Illinois team that was really good. I mean, they're tested. I mean, if they happen to beat UConn and they get into a game against Michigan, they're not going to be intimidated by this Michigan team. So I think, yes, it is title worthy, but listen, I wouldn't be surprised if one of those other teams on the other side ends up winning a national championship.
I've played both sides of that, so I hope you're exactly right there. And you mentioned Gino Auriemma there. Shout out to Gino, because everybody's seen his comments about how dumbassedly they run the women's tournament with the multi-regional sites. He tipped me off to something, and I told you guys about this. He talked about why the shooting percentages are so bad and everything else, and like, you go to do media at 6:30 in the morning, and then you don't get back on the practice court till like 5, and this is why all the shooting sucks. I played all 4 of the regional finals in the women's tournament under the point totals and went 4 for 4. So shout out, Gino, if I could get down to you and I could even get close to your taste in red wine when you're down here for the women's Final Four, it'd be on me, buddy. But thank you. Not that I, can buy a second house or anything like that, but I mean, it was true. And it's Gino Auriemma and Nick Saban. If those two guys, and we're going to talk about a plan to fix college sports specifically on tomorrow's show that I think actually has some legs, but you give me Gino and Nick Saban, college sports will be fixed in 1 hour meeting over a steak and a nice bottle of wine.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm very, as you know, partial to Gino. I mean, everything he says is the truth. I mean, it really is. I mean, his ideas, and this isn't the first time he's said it. I mean, listen, I love John Wooden. I hold John Wooden in great esteem, but I'm going to be honest with you. I think when it's all said and done, and I know it's women's basketball and people will kind of put it aside, but I think Gino Auriemma may be the greatest basketball coach in college basketball history.
I think he's definitely, like, he's already in the conversation, and I don't necessarily disagree with you.
And everyone will say, well, he has the greatest players. And it's like, well, but that's part of it too. I mean, other people can do that as well. And I mean, he's changed women's basketball. He's changed women's basketball. Like again, another Tucson guy, like Mike Candrea changed women's softball. Mike Candrea was everything. I mean, Arizona was a dominant women's softball team, and he took that to a national stage. He took it to Team USA, and Mike Candrea, change women's softball where it's now, across the country, it's probably, booming like you wouldn't believe. They've got pro teams, and that's on Mike Candrea. And I hold him in high esteem as well. And I think Gino's right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about some surprises. What the hell is wrong with me tonight? Surprises and disappointments. Or disappointments, if you will, from the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. So obviously we haven't been on since these games. We were on Friday, but we haven't really had a chance to talk about them. And the disappointing thing for me, and it'd be easy to point at a couple of teams. I know you're going to talk about one of them specifically, and it'd be easy for me as somebody that had Arkansas to win the whole thing. Surprisingly, that's the only Final Four pick I didn't get right, ironically. I could say that I was disappointed in their defensive effort. And that would be, hey, dumbass, did you not watch Arkansas play all year? They haven't been able to play defense all year. It was more the fact that there was zero resistance at any point in that game until they started flagrant fouling at the end of that game from them. My disappointment is this. And I get the argument from the people on the East Coast, like, why are we starting a game at 10:05 on the East Coast, blah, blah, blah. Listen, you're on the East Coast. That's the way it freaking works. They're not going to start games on the West Coast at like 2 o'clock in the freaking afternoon, especially when One of those regionals was literally about as far west as you could go in San Jose. But like, can we not do a 7, an 8, a 9, and a 10? And I'm talking Eastern time. Like, can we not schedule these games an hour apart? Because when we have horn delays like we did in the Iowa Illinois game, by the way, Kevin Harlan, if you were watching that game, Kevin Harlan should be in the Hall of Fame as a broadcaster just for what he does when there's something rando happening. He's like, surely we can unplug that. Surely there's got to be a horn expert somewhere in the building. But like, especially when we get into the Elite Eight side of things, the schedule I think is pretty good on Saturday and Sunday for that. But the Sweet 16 games, why are we stagger starting these things? And where it really pissed me off was on Friday, because you had a really good game going on with St. John's and Duke that went down to the wire. And then you had the Alabama-Michigan game, which I know wasn't the best game, but like, my focus was entirely on St. John's and Duke. I knew what the score was, obviously, of Bama and Michigan, but like, I should have been able to pick up the Bama-Michigan game with most of the second half left. Like, I don't understand why the NCAA in scheduling times is like reading a foreign language.
It's funny you say that, because I remember I've gone to a couple of Sweet 16 games. And it's so funny. It's like, you're focused obviously on the games that you're at. And then, there's games going on, somewhere else. And like, you have no idea what's going on in those games. They don't show scores of those other games or anything else. It's kind of like you're in this vacuum, this NCAA vacuum, and you have no idea what's going on around you. It's really weird.
Yeah, it's extremely weird, and it's like, so that's more I think that's my disappointment, because I could point to another team that I was very high on for my disappointment, but I'd also be pissing in your pool, and I'm fresh out of chlorine. So give me your disappointment. If you get that reference, you're a good movie fan, by the way.
I got it. My biggest one is Iowa State, and for me, this is the team that I mean, you want to talk about that passes the eye test. I think they pass the eye test. You look at it from a statistical standpoint, they pass the eye test. You watch them out on the court, they pass the eye test. But for whatever reason, when the lights got brightest, they just could not seem to get over the hump in any big game this year. That was their kryptonite. They just could not seem to get it done. And like, I kind of the same way. It's kind of like, they went out with a whimper. Like this wasn't even like, anything. I mean, to me, like, I guess it's a huge disappointment. I expected them to be a whole lot better.
Yeah, and I think the thing that really sucked about that for me is like, and I was talking to a friend about this, like, he's like, hey, which side are you on? Obviously, he missed the show on Friday. He goes, which side are you on in this Tennessee-Iowa State game? And I'm like, I think Iowa State's going to the Final Four. And the thing with Tennessee is we know they're good defensively. They were very poor against handling pressure, and Jacoby Gillespie was fantastic in that game. Very underrated point guard that not a lot of people have talked about because of the other good point guards this year. And Tennessee just didn't stop shooting the ball well until they played Michigan. And it was like, that was the thing with Tennessee. It was like, okay, even if they handle the pressure okay, I'm waiting for them to start missing shots because they're not a good shooting team. And they just didn't. And I was like, the one thing that popped into my head, I go, Michigan is going to beat the living hell out of Tennessee, and they did exactly that. So that was kind of, and again, I think with Iowa State, we talked about the Joshua Jefferson situation, and I think it caught up to them in the worst spot. They didn't play a clean Iowa State game. There's that. Let's talk about some surprises on a good side there, though, a positive thing. And I will say this, but I will also add a caveat to this. I don't know if Tommy Lloyd has any friends in Chicago. I'm sure he does. He's coached all over the place. He's got plenty of connections. Tommy Lloyd's agent, if I'm him right now, I'm on the phone with the Bulls going, are you going to fire Billy Donovan? Because you keep asking my guy about North Carolina, and this really doesn't need to be asked right now. I think that even though Tommy keeps brushing it off like it's not a distraction, I think it's a little bit more of a distraction than possible. I'm not saying I think Arizona's going to lose to Michigan because of that. No. My surprise was Arizona, and it wasn't because I didn't expect it or it caught me off guard. But when the Wildcats put the clamps on you, It is absolutely suffocating. And their backcourt is so damn good in any combination that they run their backcourt with at breaking down the top line of a defense. And you know this because, hell, your teams used to do this to me all the time. It used to piss me off. You break down the top line of the defense, the bigs help up, and then it's essentially kind of like Lob City for Toby Awaka and Koa Pete. And why I can never remember the big kid's name for Arizona. Like when I'm pressed on it, who I hope stays in college for one more year, because I think one more year for him, this kid's about as good as it can go. Obviously, this is great radio because I can't freaking pull up his damn name. Krivas. Mo Krivas. There's people that think he might come out. He's only a junior from Lithuania, 7'2". But like when you have Pete and Krivas and Toby Awaka, who I've talked about plenty of times this year, and you break down that top line of defense and those bigs in panic, they come flying up at you, it's all day long. And I think that is the advantage that they do have against Michigan, is if they can break down that top line of the defense against Michigan and get that ball in and up high to Krivas and Awaka and Koa Pete, I think that's how they beat Michigan. I'm not saying I think it's going to be easy, and I'm not saying I even think they're going to beat Michigan, but that backcourt, between Bradley and Burries, and then, when you get into like the depth of it, and I know Karchenkov is technically a forward, but he's a guard for him. Anthony D'Orzo, another guy I've talked about all year. The way they put the clamps on you and the way they can break down your defense top to bottom is why Arizona is so damn good. So I was very surprised in a pleasant way to see them still doing that. And here's the crazy thing about the Wildcats run, and we've talked about it all year, Mac. Like, when does the March Wildcats thing kind of show up here? And the craziest part about it is it hasn't. And every time they play, they look better. And if you look back at the scores, the only tough game, if you want to call it tough, that they played was against Utah State, who was in the game for a while, but wasn't really ever in the game. I mean, that's how dominant they've been. You can say what you want about everybody's pathway there. I'm not going to get into that nonsense, but that's the thing from a good standpoint. Not surprised, but was like, damn, dude, when this team locks you down, they seem like, and I'll use your reference here, they seem like a team that plays with their food and they go, okay, we're done, we're bored, it's time to finish this shit, and then they do, and they don't let up.
That in the Purdue game, like, not that Purdue really had that game, but you felt like they were in somewhat in control a little bit, and then, like you said, all of a sudden, a couple of missed shots, a couple of defensive stops, couple of fast break buckets, couple of threes, and before you know it, you look up, it's a 20-point game. Like it was. Let's use the word surgical. It really is. It's like a sharp knife. It's like it doesn't even hurt. It just, before you know it, you got no limbs left.
Surgical, like you and your celebration needs surgery, and me falling out of an old chair off the patio last night. And dude, I feel like somebody shot me in every rib individually in my back right now. Getting old is fun, folks. Who's your surprise, and for what reason? I don't think at this point there's any surprises, but like, who kind of took the cake for you? I think it's a pretty obvious answer, but I know you're going to have an interesting reason why.
I mean, the obvious one, it's UConn. And listen, as I said, I will agree it's not Hurley's best team, but listen, that this is a team that, obviously I've watched them more than anybody this year, and they're kind of the same way. Like, listen, Duke is Duke. There was a lot of people that had Duke, in that winner's circle to win this thing, and to be down 18 to anybody, but to be down 18 to a Duke team, like I said, you just don't think it. And for Hurley to be able to get his guys, for him to say, and it started right at the end of the first half. You could see it's kind of like, okay, let's just we got to chip away at this. And that's what they did. And that's hard to do for a sustained time. And you figure they did it for about 23, 24 minutes. They just chipped away at you, didn't let it get away from them. That, to me, you want to talk about a maturity standpoint from that team. That whole team took a huge step forward in maturity and what they did. And again, they weren't playing good coming into this. I mean, we look at the St. John's game, look at the Marquette game that they played. I mean, they weren't playing their best basketball. But again, I know I keep ringing his bell, but it just goes to show, you know, what a good coaching staff can do. Not the teams have bad coaching, but I just think that Hurley is an elite coach. I really truly do. I mean, just everything that he does is right there. And I know he rubs people the wrong way and whatnot, but just, you know, look
That's
look
what
what
good
he's
coaches
done.
do, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, look at Tom Izzo. Look at all these coaches. I mean, that's, you know, he is a bit of that old cloth kind of a coach.
Yeah,
So
and you said something earlier I wanted to kind of circle back to about what Barkley said about, well, you missed it earlier. I called him Ryan Kalkbrenner out of just like vomiting out of my brain file. What Alex Carabin and him being the only guy with the championship experience. It's not just Alex Carabin. It's that entire friggin' coaching staff that now we know is going to start to get pulled apart here with some of the things that have happened. It's not even that. It's your managers. It's your, you know, director of basketball ops. That's championship freaking culture and DNA. And again, to everybody who goes, bullshit, you know, it's new players every year. Just ask Duke about the championship DNA, and that's why Duke is watching this weekend and not playing. So like I get where Barkley's coming from, like the on the court guys, but if you're watching college basketball right now and you don't think Dan Hurley is arguably the best coach, if not in the top 3 for sure in college basketball, you're a hater, or I don't know what the hell you're watching. All right. I told you were going to make your pick tonight. TJ and I get, you know, a couple extra days to stew on it. I don't think I need any extra time to stew on it. Maybe with my wallet, maybe with my heart. I'm pretty sure I know which way I'm going. Who do you think plays on Monday night? And on Tuesday, when we come back in here, who are we leading off the show with talking about the new national champion?
I wanted to say one other thing before I give you my big reveal. If you listen to Luke Murray today, did you listen to his press conference at BC?
No, I missed it, and I wanted to hear it. It's on my list for after the show.
Go back and listen to it. And he is, I mean, so gushing of the UConn experience. And he even said, he goes, I know those words are kind of like not to be said on this campus, you know, that because there's not a great relationship. But he really was. I mean, he really spelled out what it was, what the culture is at UConn. So with that being said, it's no surprise that my championship game has the University of Connecticut in it. I mean, at this point, how can I not say that? I mean, they did beat Illinois earlier this year. Not that matters, but it does matter a little bit. I really don't know who I want them to face in the championship game. I
know who
of
I
course,
would.
my family and extended family. It's an Arizona thing. And so from a personal standpoint, I would love nothing better than for the UConn to be able to revenge one of their losses this year against Arizona. I have lots of family that's huge Michigan fans. My godparents are from Michigan, and they're from Ann Arbor, and they're huge Michigan fans. And so what matchup would I like to see? Just from a standpoint, I actually would like to see UConn play Arizona. I mean, the way things are said in this state, if you it's just so funny. I mean, being here and hearing the things, and you know, I walked around town the last couple of days, and I've seen, you know, more Arizona Wildcat shirts than anything else. I think I would just love to be able to walk around town over the next couple of days with my UConn shirt on after they beat the Wildcats. So that's my championship prediction. I'm going with Arizona versus UConn, and I'm picking UConn to win another national championship. Surprise, surprise, surprise. But listen, how can I not?
Hey, if you were on the site I found them on today, you could pick that exact matchup at plus 1,400, so 14-1. You could pick UConn to win the national title at 7-1, which is better than the original site that I saw it on. Other interesting fun fact about this, as far as
hold on.
Four.
I was going to say, remember, I'm trying to pull it up. Remember, I think we
Oh,
all do this.
yes.
We all have our bets like at the beginning of the season, and I was one. I actually have two. I have UConn. I have the men's for them to win the national championship. I have the women to win the national championship, and I have another one where it's both of them to win. I got the UConn one. I did this. It was I don't even know the date on it,
I
but
think
it
we
was
said
at
November.
yeah, November 6th. Plus 1,300 to win a national championship. The women, it wasn't as great because they were favored, but then I have it from both to win. So here's hoping.
Yeah, absolutely. Fun fact about the Final Four. Only the fifth time or yeah, it's only the fifth time in the history of the Final Four that we've had all state name schools in the Final Four: Arizona, Connecticut, Illinois, Michigan. 2014 was the last time: Connecticut, Kentucky, Florida, and Wisconsin. 2002. And you know me, like I am a psychopath when it comes to college basketball and watching games. I couldn't remember the title game in 2002 when we saw this with Maryland, Indiana, Kansas, and Oklahoma. That was Maryland's national title when they defeated Indiana in that one. So that's how far back we're going. Last time Indiana was actually worth a shit. 1997, aforementioned Arizona. That was the last time they were there. Kentucky, Minnesota, and North Carolina. 1993, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, and North Carolina. So we've seen these. The only team obviously not represented there is Illinois, because we know it's been a long ass time since Illinois has been in this position. I love that for Brad Underwood. I love what he's built there. I know Illinois is a team that both you and I have been fairly high on this year. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, Mac. I would have loved to have seen like UConn, Arizona, and then Illinois, Michigan, or UConn, Michigan, Illinois, Arizona, like in the semifinal games. But, you know, we're talking about the most NCAA men's D1 tournament wins without a title in Division I history. You've got Purdue at 54, Illinois at 50, Gonzaga at 48, and Houston at 47. So Illinois trying to remove themselves off of that list. And if they do, they would have 51 wins, and 52 would be their first national title. I think it'd be fun to see Illinois win. I talked about this with Jared on Friday's show, Jared Smith. You know, I don't think there's a matchup we can get that I'd hate, especially, and there usually isn't when you get to the Final Four, but there's an Illinois-Arizona kind of vibe to me that I want to see. I do want to see the rematch of UConn-Arizona. I would like to see either one of those teams against Michigan. Obviously, Illinois-Michigan doesn't quite have the sizzle because they play, but I think UConn-Michigan would be a fantastic game.
I thought of one other reason why I want the UConn-Arizona game, because if when UConn does win, and I wear that t-shirt that I'm gonna get down to McHale, because they play each other in McHale next season. That'll be a fun. Oh yeah, baby! You'll be right there with me.
Last time Arizona was in the Final Four, Richard Jefferson and Gilbert Arenas led the way for the Wildcats. Last time Illinois was in the Final Four, D. Brown and Darren Williams, and that was 2005. So I think that would be a fun matchup as well. I mean, I don't think you can get to a bad one here. Tomorrow's show is actually happening, and no, we don't do the April Fool's bullshit. We're not children anymore. I thought Vegas was pulling or somebody was pulling April Fool's on John Tortorella taking the job in Vegas, but we'll get into that a little bit more tomorrow. But we're going to have a couple of, we haven't done goofy headlines in a while, as well as some of the pertinent headlines. Obviously, it's a Wednesday, so we're going to puck around and find out. We're going to have some wristers. We're going to have some 5-hole rankings. At 5-hole, I don't know why I freaking called it the Mac 5 last week. I got my college basketball, my hockey fixed. We're going to talk about an interesting bill that is proposed by a guy who seems to know college sports pretty well, and his plan to fix college sports, as well as checking on the NBA. Tomorrow night, we're going to debut another new segment. Tonight, it was the rotation. Tomorrow night, it's crossing streams, as we get into some new, interesting betting stuff based on basically a text message, and I was feeling froggy, and I was like, hey, let's do this week. So plenty of stuff there. Before we get out of here tonight, the final thing that we have to do. Well, not the final thing we have to do. Before we get into liquid locks, it is a Tuesday. which means it's Mac's time to shine. Ticket Tuesday. Blow the dust out of your wallet, man. Where are we getting some values?
Listen, $17. We're going back to the well 3 times. I can get you to 3 NBA games for $17. Houston at Memphis, $7. Toronto at Memphis, $5. And then the Knicks at Memphis for $5. So 3 NBA games. You'll see the Knicks, you'll see Toronto and Houston. So 2 playoff teams, maybe even a third for $17. That's not so bad.
Call me when they're the Nashville Grizzlies, and I'll go to one of their games.
Baseball, we're starting to get there. I got Texas at Baltimore, New York at St. Louis, the Angels. This has surprised me. The Angels at the Cubs, $7. I mean, I know it's cold, I know it's early, but still, I mean, that's a pretty good deal. The big ticket item this weekend, all the games at Boston, San Diego at Boston, are all really, really expensive. $129 for that.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty good one. Washington at New Jersey, NHL for $9. That one's not too bad. Some big ones this week. New Jersey at Montreal, $227. That seemed a little bit high for me. Vegas at Edmonton, $124 as well. That seems.
Was that Canadian dollars or American dollars?
Yeah, I don't know. And hey, listen, July 7th through the 9th, we got to head out to Akron. The Rubber Ducks are going to change. They're going to change their name. They're going to become the Wisconsin Dive Bars.
Oh, if there was ever a Mike Arana minor league promotion, it had to be that one.
That's pretty good. So I'm going to start digging into some minor league stuff here in the next couple Ticket Tuesdays, just because there's so much good stuff down there. But yeah, we're going to start there.
Screw the friggin' Mets, by the way. 3 damn hits out of that lineup tonight in St. Louis. You can go F right off, New York.
That's 2 more than the Red Sox got.
And there's another reason I'm saying this. I also, TJ thought it was humorous tonight that I sent him a text on what my hockey 3-way play was for tonight. And right now, I'm covering every part of it, except for I took the Jackets against the Carolina Macacanes tonight, and the Canes just took a 3-2 lead late in that one. San Francisco has 3 runs. 3 runs in the top of the first inning tonight against the Padres. But you know what? Tony Vitello is over his head. I mean, what is he going to do there? Willie Adames with a homer. Jung-Hoo Lee with a double that scored. Matt Chapman and Elliot Ramos. All right, Liquid Lock time for tomorrow's action. That way you can critique us and laugh at us. They're all going to laugh at you on tomorrow night's show. I'll let Max start. Give me a couple Liquid Locks from whatever sport you want to dabble in tomorrow.
I'm going to use this as spring training for Friday. I'm going to pick a home run hitter for tomorrow. I'm going to go with James Wood of the Nationals. I think he's going to hit a home run. That's my one. And listen, I can't get the numbers on this one yet, but I want you to think about this one. I'm going to play this one tomorrow. It's going to take a little work, but again, it's a pitching thing. And no, I'm not going, although I will tell you, I've been really, really hot on the under or the over on the number of outs. But I'm going with strikeouts tomorrow. I want to wrap these 3 guys. Let's go 6+ strikeouts for each of these guys. Skeens, Crochet, Skubal, and Yamamoto. Put them all together. Go for at least 6+ strikeouts for each of those guys. Play them by themselves, play them together, like you say. But I think that would be kind of fun.
I don't hate that one tomorrow. I think that'd be a fun one. I'm going to keep it a little simple tomorrow. I don't love a ton in action tomorrow. As far as baseball goes, I am going to run line the Tigers because it's Tarek Skubal on the mound against Zach Gallen. I am also going to continue to bet McGonigal until he hits his first home run. Hopefully I don't have to do that tomorrow because he hits one tonight for me. So that's where I'm looking baseball-wise. And then I'm going to go to the hockey world. I'm going to go to the hockey world tomorrow night for a game that, ironically, a year ago, tomorrow, I was actually in Anaheim for. It is actually going to be on because it's nationally televised during our damn show, which pisses me off. But Ducks and Sharks, the rivalry that is budding in the Pacific Division, and you can piss right off with your comments on the Pacific Division because I don't want to hear it. But Ducks and Sharks from the tank tomorrow. A week from Thursday, they'll be back in Anaheim. Unfortunately, I will not be able to catch them this year. But I'm going to play that game over because it seems like every time the Ducks and Sharks get together, it is always fun. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff Ducks-wise tomorrow. We got wristers. We got the 5-hole. We're getting you set for the beginning. I need the Jackets to rally here at home in C-Bus. They are down 3-2 to the Macacanes with 5:36 left in the third. Actually, now I'm getting screwed because Chicago just gave up the lead. Kiss my ass. I am not having a good night betting-wise. I had a good start to the evening betting-wise. Not having a good night betting-wise. Any final words from you on this fine Tuesday, Vegas, Mac?
We keep talking about the most fun time of the year, and I'll tell you, this has got to be right up there with it. You know, how can we not like this? We've got the best part of college basketball. We've got NBA teams trying to battle for some positions. Same with hockey. Baseball started. Oh, and guess what? Next week we got our first major of the year in golf. This is a fun time. There's a lot of fun things going on. I can't wait to cross streams tomorrow. I got something good for you guys.
Don't say that out loud ever again. Don't do that. Yeah, have you, okay, since we want to play this secret hidden game on this program with who the best pitcher on the Pirates is going to be, have you nailed down my Masters lineup that, unless I have a great week this week at the Valero Texas Open and get a winner, it's probably not going to matter who my Masters lineup is, but I want to win the major, get the bonus points, close the gap, even if you win the stage. Do you have any more guesses on who my Masters trio is?
No.
I will tell you if you get it all right. I will.
I mean, I think, like, I think Goddard is got to be in there. I definitely think that's one. I mean, I was kind of looking. I was thinking you were going to go with like a Justin Rose, but you already used him.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, I don't know. I know you don't like the live guys. I'm a little. I'm not really worried, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, a lot of the big guns you're out. Like, so
am I?
Or am I? Well, maybe not. I don't know. So
here's the thing with Goddard is I can use him. You know I love him, but we know how it is for first timers at Augusta. Historically, they don't win, but I'm not necessarily looking. Well, I mean, I need to pick a winner, obviously. If you read the newsletter, MikeAranaShow.com/links, I talked about Chris Goddard, and he's down to 3,500, 35 to 1 to win the Masters. I think I'm going to call my shot right now. And I know you've seen I've entered one guy on the list for Mike versus Mac this week, and Will Zalatoris.
Yeah.
One of my boys. I'm gonna pull a winner this week. I'm gonna pull a winner at the Masters, and I think I will still lose the stage to you, but I will close the gap big time here. I will tell you this. I will give you one more hint, because this makes for great TV/radio. One of the guys that I am playing at the Masters, you have used recently, and I have not yet.
Well, and is it Jake Knapp? Did you use Knapp?
I used Nap time week 1, man.
Oh yeah, Sahith Thagala?
Not at Augusta. Love Sahith, but not there.
Tony,
I got it. I got it. I'm gonna win 2 weeks in a row, man. I can feel it. I think my Valero lineup, once I put the whole thing in, and again, Mike versus Mac will come out right after our program tomorrow night on our social channels at Mike Arana Show. I think once I put my lineup in for Valero, I think you'll be able to peg my Masters threesome 1, 2, 3. I think you will.
Here's my thing. I don't know where I'm going with the Masters yet. I'm torn. I'm like, I've got big, like, I haven't used Scotty. I haven't used Rory. I haven't used. I don't think I used Brooks. I haven't used Brooks. I got all the live guys. Can I put one in there already? Can I put one in there already for next week?
For the Masters, sure.
Yeah.
As long as it's not one of mine.
No, no. I'm just gonna here.
Oh,
I'm just gonna.
this is great for TV and radio.
Yeah,
He's typing it in on a shared spreadsheet here, folks.
I just put in his first name.
I figured I figured you were going to go there. That's acceptable. I'm not going to give you my 3 because I've got all the guys that I want to play at Valero, and I've got all the guys that I want to play at the Masters, and I just have to maneuver them. I'm playing Will Z this week because I don't trust. I think my wife is getting attacked by a sneeze out there in the kitchen. Stuffed peppers, dude. I can smell them in the studio right now. I can't wait. Will Zalatoris this week. I think because he's coming off the injury, that the Masters is a lot of pressure on him, and he hasn't played a ton this year. But I like him this week. I think it fits him better. Interesting stuff that I've noticed too. Some guys that don't need to be playing this weekend that are playing this weekend, which is usually the Valero is always fun. And it's kind of like we've talked about this to finish up here on golf with why I like the John Deere Classic so much, because you win the John Deere, you get on the charter, you get to play in the Open. It's the same thing with Valero. You win the Valero and you have to win the Valero. It gets you into the Masters. So like, I try to look at guys like that, but this week, there's some guys that I'm going, why the hell didn't you play last week? Because that course in Houston fits you better than this one does.
You know, and here's the thing about this course in San Antonio. It's kind of a course, and I think the biggest thing with this course is you know, if the wind is blowing and makes this course a little bit different. I don't think that this is the best tune-up. Remember, I'm going to use his name again, but Phil was like that. Phil had certain courses that he wanted to play weeks before the Masters because he thought they set up good. And I can't remember which course it was. There was always one course. It wasn't a Valero that set up really, really good to Augusta. I can't remember what it was, but he played it every year. But I don't think the Valero is a real good setup. I mean, think about it. You're playing in a place that there isn't a lot there. Like I said, if it's and then if it's windy, it really kind of screws with your game even more. So I don't know. I mean, this is an interesting week. I mean, and again, do you want to win this week? I mean, how many guys win back to back? You know what I mean? Like, how many guys do you see win 2 weeks in a row? It's like, I know like some people have to win to get in, but you know, kind of interesting.
Hey, but that top 10 finish at the Masters gives you a lot of good
true.
perks there. Congratulations to the Western Sacramento Nomads. We now have every team in Major League Baseball has at least one victory under their belt. So congrats to the Nomads. They knock off the Braves tonight in Atlanta. One more in the daytime tomorrow. Vikes versus Mac on our social channels tomorrow. The rotation, you'll probably see that on our social channels tomorrow. All right. Officially now, because I'm hungry. Any final words for you on this Tuesday night? Any pearls of Mac wisdom?
I'm saving all my pearls for tomorrow.
Lots of fun stuff on tomorrow's show. Follow us on all of our social channels at Mike Arana Show. Sign up for the newsletter, MikeAranaShow.com/links for everybody behind the scenes. For T, for the man in the Cleveland shirt, I won't say it, Vegas Mac.
Have you ever seen the back of this shirt?
No.
It messes people up. Hold on.
Oh, geez. Fashionista Mac here. Yeah, I can see why it messes people up, because there's a generation of people that don't even know that's who they were before. Big Wahoo welcome here. And
people try to take the tape off my back?
A Wahoo welcome and a Wahoo goodbye from the great Bob Uecker. For Mac, I'm Mike. You know the drill by now. We'll talk with you tomorrow night. We're out.